Well, thank you all for joining us tonight at the first ever live taping of the Bring Your Big Energy podcast at Bamboo. My name's Alexa Stekowitz. I'm the community director at Bamboo Ann Arbor, just hopping on to introduce our host and guest for the evening. And so please allow me to introduce our host, Stacey Kulongowski. She is the founder and CEO of the BND Group, the best-selling author of Bring Your Big Energy, and host of the Bring Your Big Energy podcast. Stacey helps people navigate pivotal life moments and turn insight into clarity, momentum, and meaningful action. Let me also introduce our guest, Kamille Tynes. She is the founder and CEO of Konnected with Care, a social impact tech company transforming how foster youth and child welfare systems stay connected and supported. Drawing from lived experience and deep system insight, Camille built innovative case management and compliance technology now used by courts, agencies, law firms, and nonprofits to save time, money, and lives. Thank you both for joining us and being here and sharing your stories with us tonight. I'll turn it over to you now, and I'm looking forward to your conversation with each other.
Thank you, Alexa. Thank you so much. Welcome. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Hi, guys.
I feel like, why aren't we doing this every day? Like, this should be a thing.
Yes.
So, first of all, thank you to our live studio audience. This is our first time doing this, so we're really pumped about it. We know it is a frozen tundra out there. We're well aware. I know many of you drove lots of miles to get here, so we really appreciate that. I think it's currently feels like 3 degrees outside, which is up from -5 today, so we're calling that a win.
A little improvement.
A little improvement.
A win is a win, I guess. No.
I want to thank Alexa so much. I met with Alexa months and months ago, feels like forever ago, and she said, how can I support you on this journey with your book? And I said, well, like a signing would be good, or, something like that. And she said, wait, what? And I told her I launched this podcast, and she goes, wait, what about a live podcast? And I go, oh, you do that? She goes, no, but I think we could. And I was like, okay, that's amazing. So with the great idea of Alexa and the whole team and the beautiful gift today, which was the Ryan Morrison from Maximize Media. Shout out to Ryan, who is making all of this technical goodness happen for us. Feels like magic. It's a lot of behind the scenes, so we appreciate Ryan for doing that. And of course, but not least, Kamille Tynes, my amazing guest. I can't wait to get into your story. So,
well, thank you so much, Stacey.
So good to have you.
Thank you for the opportunity to be on this show with you. I love your podcast. Just learning about it and listening to it was just like, oh yeah, kindred spirits.
Oh, forever. Besties forever.
And again,
I know.
Yes.
I know. I saw someone today was like, wait, you haven't met her in person? I'm like, no, but virtually. It didn't need to even be in person. It was like, we know we're meant to be.
Well, you have a sister from another mother, Mr. Like, that's really what it's been. So yes, I'm so excited to be here. And again, thank you to Alexa for making this happen and Bamboo as a whole. So yes.
Okay. So exciting. So the Bring Your Big Energy podcast it's a brand new baby. So we're just learning. We're just started. So it's been out about 3 months so far, and I have 250 listens. And so I asked chat, of course, as anyone does, is that even good? And that said, you're doing pretty well. That's a strong start. So super excited about that. And I have a lot of stuff in the studio, which I'm learning to edit. And so Bring Your Big Energy podcast is really a spinoff from my book, which is all about people having intensity points that are really hard things that happen in our life, but then reimagining their life and using that pain and to turn it into purpose and to transform their lives. But even better, and that's why you're a perfect guest, Camille, then they say get a step further and they say, wait, listen, I want to help other people too. And so that's kind of the magic of Bring Your Big Energy. So it's not always about being the loudest in the room, although I'm usually am the loudest in the room. It's really about bringing that purpose and that passion to everything you do. So that's what we're here to talk about today. So with that, you want to just dive in?
Let's dive right on in.
Okay. Camille, long before Konnected with Care existed, you had a deeply personal understanding of where the foster care system was falling short through your own lived experiences. Can you share whatever parts you feel comfortable sharing on that journey and what you noticed early on that you think maybe others seem to miss?
Thank you. So for me, early on, I entered the foster care system at around age 14. It was actually a couple weeks after my birthday. So I was like, oh, happy birthday to me. Right. And completely foreign situation, didn't know anything really about the foster care system but what I saw on TV. So your girl was scared and petrified, but I didn't let it be seen. And so navigating the system has as many ups and downs. And I was fortunate to a degree to have some loving people in my life when I was in the system, but the majority of my time in the foster care system, it exposed me to more abuse, more. It was, quite frankly, honestly, almost worse being in the system, because it's like the devil sometimes is better than the unknown devil, and sometimes that can be worse. And so when I was in the system, I didn't know my rights. I didn't know what I was entitled to or resources, and I was just struggling. And I was hopeful that in the situation that we were placed in, me and my siblings, that it wouldn't be too long, that my mom would be able to get us back and things of that sort. And ultimately that didn't happen. But being a young person thinking, oh, I'm gonna go right back home, I had nothing but just the clothes on my back, my little sister's Wizard of Oz book, because I wanted to make sure she had it, and some flip-flops on my feet. And so when you get placed in foster care, you're supposed to have resources, a social worker connect you with different things and really explain to you what your rights are and what's going on. None of that happened for me. The social worker who dropped me off was quite mean and brutal and really dismissive, didn't even explain what was going on. And before even going into the home, they basically take you to their office or a facility, and you almost feel like you are a criminal because they have to document stuff about you, take pictures of you, and you don't know what's going on. And then they let you know either they're going to find a home or a group home. And sometimes they have juvenile facilities that they'll put foster youth in. And so when I got to my foster home, I just had the clothes on my back and the shoes on my feet. And my foster parent, although minister in the church, and I think she meant well, she did not really do what she was supposed to do or provide. And I didn't know that until other foster young ladies let me know. And so the clothes that I received were clothes that were hand-me-downs from other foster kids that other foster parents were circling around, even with like musty staining pits. And I remember, frankly, the gym shoes being too small for my feet. And so I had to curl my toes up in them for a while. You're supposed to, I don't know if things change now, but for the most part, you're supposed to have like a $500 clothing stipend to get kids when they come in the system. She pocketed that.
Wow.
And I didn't learn that until other foster care kids who were in the system start putting me up on game. They're like, no, you're supposed to get this and this and that. When I talked to my social worker, she's like, yeah, I'll make sure you have it. And she was like, just sign this form and just say that I got it to you. I'll get it back to you. Never happened. Then a new social worker came, then a new social worker. So I learned quickly that there were certain resources and rights that I was supposed to have, but that I wasn't getting. But when you're 14 and then going to 15, you don't know any of that. You're just trying to make it through. You're just recognizing that I'm stripped from my family. I'm in a foreign place. I don't know anything. And so I became very active in my life early on with going to court, with trying to learn things. And so ultimately, when I went to court and started engaging more, I learned more. And what happened next was I basically had to become my own little mini attorney.
Okay. Okay.
Because after talking with social workers and then a lawyer, guardian ad litem, an attorney being appointed to me as a kid in foster care, she would never see me. And she would come into court and lie and update the courts about me, but didn't even know me. And it got so bad at one point that she advocated for something for me that was really detrimental, would have put me back in harm's way. She advocated for me to go back with my very abusive father because on paper, he looked better than my mother. They both had issues. But because the attorney actually had never physically met me and she didn't really open up the file to see my little face in the picture that they had in the file, when she recommended something that would be very egregious that I adamantly had to advocate against prior to, the whole courtroom went silent and you could literally hear like a pin drop. And the judge asked the attorney, you said Camille said she wants to go back with her father? And she said, yes, I spoke with her. And he was like, are any of the kids present in the courtroom today? She looks around the courtroom, looks at my face like I'm looking at you.
Didn't even recognize you.
Didn't even recognize me because she never actually really met or spoke to me. And she said, no, they're not. And so everyone already knew who I was because I had to testify about what things happened to me, even though I didn't want to and it was very uncomfortable. But in that moment, I had to be courageous and step up again. And so went on record, said who I was again and how I never met this woman, never spoke with her, didn't say any of such things. And you could see literally the color leave her face. And the worst part about that was not even just the fact that this woman did not ensure that I had the resources I needed in foster care, was not advocating for me, but that she would advocate to put me in harm's way. But then afterwards, once it was put on record in court that, hey, this attorney lied, this young lady doesn't have anything she's supposed to have, and we're about to actually put her back in harm's way again, even though it's well documented. The judge basically, when I asked for a different attorney, basically said, you know what, she made a mistake. She's a really good attorney. Let's give her another chance. And ultimately, that became my journey of going to the library after class and in between class while I'm in high school to start learning a lot to advocate for myself.
Like,
right
how
and
old
left.
are you at this
This
age?
is this 14, 15.
Wow.
Yep. And then we were able to get a second attorney. So I had two attorneys at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was basically horrible. So my whole experience throughout my tenure as a high school student was I got my own job and had to figure out how to make money because I wasn't going to do some things with some other foster because very people do it, you know. I
Right.
just ain't snitch, but I just
Right.
let them walk into
Look,
the
yeah.
Anyway, so, but I knew that that wasn't okay. And I knew from my foster siblings that there were certain things I were entitled to. So I just started fighting. And so that actually became the genesis of me. Didn't even know this what happened years later, but me becoming very emphatically involved in making sure that people know their rights, getting connected to resources, and trying to be a light. And there was a social worker named Mr. Wilson. He was a social worker for one of the foster girls in the home. And when I had asked him about, can I come with them to some of the programs that my foster sibling was going to, because she was having a good old time, I'm like, I'm not doing any of this. And he was just like, you're supposed to be getting this. He's like, I am so sorry. Your social worker is supposed to make sure
But you don't
have
know
it.
what you don't know.
Exactly. And so that is where the journey actually to building Konnected with Care began. And I didn't even know it.
Wow. What do you think it was that gave you the because you said things like courage and like self-advocacy and did your research? Like, what was it? Do you feel like that fueled you to be different and say, like, I'm going to take charge of this?
I think it did. And here's the thing. I think my love for my family was so strong that I was like, no, I know this is wrong. I want to be back with my family. And I see what's going on. I may not know the full gamut of everything transpiring, but the fight in me, it silenced the fears. The fears were still very real. Like the nervousness, you can't see it today and I'm good. But
Yeah.
sometimes the underarm pits get sweaty when you have to speak. That was still there, but I knew just, I don't know, innately that in this situation, you have to fight. And so that is what really carried me through. And at that time, too, I think for me, everything happens for a reason, but I didn't know that not everything that happens is good or should happen. But I believe that everything can be used and turned around for something good. And we have the power to do that. And with your book and her journey about bringing big energy, for me, when I think of big energy, it's about not just the bubbliness, which I am that too, and I can be loud and verbose.
Which I love.
It's about what is the energy that you're bringing to whatever circumstance or situation. How are you fighting back? How are you being courageous for your own goals? So truly, the big courageousness was more so because I wanted to fight for my family and what was right, and not even really for me at that time.
Yeah. And sometimes, and everyone's got their different why, and sometimes it's intrinsic, and sometimes it's about our people and our community. So that courageous little girl that doesn't even know what she doesn't know and doesn't have the advocacy or the power to, starts to build that, starts to research, starts to learn, and now she becomes the magnetic you. Take us through the rest of that journey then. So start before Konnected with Care starts. What does that look like? Now you're 15, now you're 18, now you're like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So after going through foster care, I knew that there was more for me, and I knew I was going to college after I went through a summer program, a part of high school. I didn't actually really have college plans prior to Gear Up, so thank God for Gear Up at that time.
What's up, Gear Up?
I just wanted summer employment. They're like, we'll pay you to do summer activities and working with different companies and also teach you about going to college. So I was like, all right, bet. And funny as it may be, they had us mock up to what colleges we were going to attend or what we're going to study. So again, this is my senior year, like junior, senior, I don't really know. But I just say, you know what? I don't know where to go. They had us research some universities and whatnot. And I said, I'm going to go to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor.
Okay.
To get my bachelor's and study political science. And then I'm going to go to Harvard for my law degree and get a master's in engineering.
Wow.
I know.
That's some big energy goals right there. I'm here for it.
I know.
Yeah.
The only reason why engineering came in there because I ended up joining this robotics program in my school because I wanted to get out of singing. Yeah. Another story, another day.
Okay.
But exactly. But it opened up the door for me to become a part of NSBE has a pre-college initiative called PCI. Okay. And that actually took me out of my city and my state for the first time. Okay. And so that was like, oh, I can do this. So nonetheless, I was blessed and fortunate to have grades enough to get into the University of Michigan. Q. My score on my test was not the strongest.
Doesn't matter. You got in.
It's
killed
about
it.
Full
yeah.
wraparound. himself, you know?
Yep.
And so because of that, I went in a program called Bridge,
Okay.
Comprehensive Studies program. And basically they're like, hey, if you're strong in one area, we see your assets, but you're a little weak in another spot, we're going to put you in a program where we're going to basically let you go to college early on. And let's see if you can pass and do it well here during the summertime, you can continue on in the fall. But if you don't do well here,
Bye.
that's it. And so for me, I was like, oh, I don't have nothing to go back to. So I have to make this happen. So nonetheless, I was excited about that. And I had that plan in place. But then having to move homes again and a whole bunch of things, it almost put that in jeopardy again. But fortunately enough, I was able to push through, and I graduated high school. I was a class president of Southeastern High School in Detroit. Go Jungleers. Yes. I gave the class president speech, and it was in Huntington Place, which was previously called Copel Hall. So we had thousands of people.
Yeah.
It was big. It was like one of the largest class. And on the day that it was the most exciting moment, that was filled with joy and celebration, that day turned into a horrible day.
No.
Because when I got back to my foster home, this is when I was 17 years old, the day of my high school graduation, my foster parent had all of my clothes and garbage bags by the door.
Why?
And because she told me, I, again, didn't know my rights for this part. She said, you leave the foster care system when you turn 18 or you graduate from high school.
Oh, so she
And
said you were done then, according to her.
exactly. And so I took my things. I had to call around and figure things out. Couch surfed, and luckily my summer program literally was right there in a couple months to be that little safety net in a sense. And I was able to obviously successfully go through the program with U of M. At one point, academically struggled when I tried to help more people, more family members. But then I got back in and continued to build my my academic career. But while I was at the university and college, similar patterns and struggles that I had when I was a foster kid was still emerging then. I had to figure out how to advocate for myself at a big university, didn't have access to certain resources, didn't even have the basics that you really need in a dorm. I didn't even have like blankets and stuff. And so luckily my old boss from my Gear Up summer placement, she was like, I'm going to just like give you a care package. And so for some reason, maybe call it divine intervention, that big energy came up in me again. And so while I'm social in college and can make friends easily, when it comes down to the holiday breaks and everyone goes back home, no one thinks about what happens to the foster care kid. And at the time, the dorms were closed. So then I have to figure it out again, or else I'm about to be homeless. And so nonetheless, kind of got a little frustrated, Stacey.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I did something that, you really shouldn't do, but I'm glad I did. So I went to the president's office at the University of Michigan and I demanded a meeting.
Good
I
for
said,
you.
hey.
That's again, advocacy.
Advocacy. And I was like, we have a problem here. I was just like, I know things take time to make change. So I don't expect us to do anything to help me while I'm here. However, I'm a former foster youth, and we're going to have more former foster youth here at this university, and we need to make a program to support so that they can thrive and succeed here. And they basically did not let me meet with the president, so you should have had me meet with the president. But nonetheless, I'm glad they didn't too, because they actually had me meet with the director of ombudsman and one of the high staff members for the dean of students office. And they listened to me, and they were willing to support my efforts. And so the birthing of Konnected Care somewhat actually began there. So they let me come in the university, start putting together a resource directory for former foster youth, start finding different liaisons in different departments where I was struggling, that we can have people that can navigate young people. And basically every struggle that I had, we built a program, a comprehensive support program to support former foster youth at the University of Michigan. And then about a year later, a man named Paul Blavin and his wife, they came to the university and said, hey, we want to give a scholarship for former foster youth. And then the university was like, hey, Camille, you know the program you're working on here? We have a man that wants to invest and create a scholarship. Can you please take him and his family around, show him what's possible, help us get this investment? Because you never know what can come. And so
they had to hear your story. They have to hear your story.
So nonetheless, Paul and his family were very generous. They gave us $1 million and said, you have to raise another $1 million university to show your commitment. And we did that. And now it's 10 years later, and it's the Paul Blavin Comprehensive Scholarship Program. And I believe we helped over 300 former foster youth go to U of M, graduate literally from Michigan, go on to other universities to get their PhDs, their JDs, MBAs. And we have the highest graduation rate of former foster youth in the nation. The program's been modeled at other universities too.
Wow. I think we can let's give it up. That is I'm feeling the energy there.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. And so I'm just so grateful for Paul, his wife, and for the University of Michigan, the people that really came and supported and really built that thing and put it on their back. And even now I'm not involved with it anymore, but it's still growing and thriving. And so the genesis of Konnected with Care has always been there, and I just didn't know it. Every opposition, every struggle, every battle, every failure, every high, low, homelessness, up, down, success, everything in between. That is where that journey began in college. And then after college, still had some ups and downs. And I just started seeing different gaps. And I allowed that again to be a blueprint. And so when I worked in government here in Washington County, I was blessed to work my way up from being like an admin assistant and then being promoted and then becoming a program associate, managing over like $4.6 million in human service contracts and grants. And it was an incredible experience to help with managing that amount of money, but then also scary too at the same time.
I was going to say, are you ever at a point like, I'm over my skis on this one? Like, what am I doing? Like, how do I find the confidence? Like, how do you dig deep to get that?
Combination of you do it afraid.
Yeah.
You feel the fear and you do it afraid.
Do it afraid.
Majority of the time, I'm always feeling scared and people don't know it. And sometimes I have to remind myself, you can feel afraid, but you don't have to be afraid.
Yeah.
That's the normal process. But then the why, sometimes for me, what I do, I fear nothing, I conquer everything, and I glorify God and those who have come behind me, who've gone ahead of me that are coming behind me. And so I remember my why. I remember who I'm serving, and that helps me push through. And then I also have moments where I freak out, and then God be like, girl, calm down. We've been through this before. And sometimes you talk to other people, but it's truly, you feel it afraid and you do it anyway. And I will admit too, the level of fearlessness and courageousness I had back in the day, right now I'm trying to rebuild back up to it. So it's
harder. It's harder as we get older.
I'm just like, wait, you had all this fearless confidence. Now you're afraid about something small. You've actually already did this and better before, girl. Why are you freaking out? So
they say women's confidence or females' confidence peaks at age 9. 9. Like I read that somewhere. Can't quote it. But so we are, I think, more courageous when we don't know what's at stake. As we get older and as you continue to build, you have more at stake.
Yes.
And I love what you said about having these partners that invested in the scholarship. And because there's so much that needs to happen in terms of you having a voice and helping people to understand the problem. And getting them to listen, because guess what? It doesn't affect everyone. And so if it doesn't affect everyone, no one wants to solve it, right? And so if it's a smaller problem, it can just be, pushed under. So glory to you to get the conversation out there, but great that these people were actively able to be like, okay, we're going to take a listen and we're going to invest in this, right? Because there's a need here. So now that you've built Konnected with Care, what are you solving for? Tell us about that.
Okay. And so real quickly too, it takes everyone's hand. So everyone has purpose. Everyone has power. I think me on my own at the university and on different things, working at different careers, I'm able to make an impact, but it's limited to the capacity what I can do within myself. But when everyone comes together, where like, I have the idea, I have the ability to refine this, or I can contribute financially, or I can even just give you a hug and a smile and let you know it's going to be okay.
You need all those things.
It all works together. So I thoroughly believe that no one and nothing is insignificant. Everything is powerful. And quite frankly, for me, although there's a Maya Angelou quote that says, although I stand as one, like although I come as one, I stand as 10,000. That's a part of my source. That is really like, no, because of the people that have supported me, because of the people that I know and that I don't know, we can do it. And so now as I'm moving forward, I'm just like, everything is literally working together with this platform. And so Konnected with Care solves a problem, yes, of foster youth, but of connectivity in general. So people need to be connected to resources. They need to be connected simply to knowing how to accomplish whatever their goal they're trying to do, whether it's finding mental health support, housing, employment, whatever they need. You need that support, and you need it done with care and with respect. And that's why my company is called Konnected with Care. We say connected for short, but it's literally to remind people that we are servants and co-partners and co-builders with one another. So Konnected with Care is all about making sure that we help organizations serving foster youth families and vulnerable populations quickly connect to the resources they need to succeed so that we can all save time, money, and lives. I know that part started a little pitchy, didn't it? Because it's like,
girl, pitch away. We allow it here on the show. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So how did you know what to build for? So for whether people are building whatever they're building, how did you know, like, I got to put this foot in front of the other. I got to build this. I got to do that. Like, I've even just built my small business, and I was just sharing with one of the folks here on the team today. I'm like, oh, great to have a proposal come to me last week. And I'm like, I can do all these things. I know how to do these. I can do all the technical stuff that I don't want to do. And so, but all that's built over years and years. How did you know where to start? And for our builders out there, like what did you think through in terms of that process?
So when I first started, I didn't know.
Okay, that's fair. Same.
I was scared, didn't know, but I knew I wanted to make a difference.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, what I started doing was looking at it from each and every lens that I worked through. So I looked at the lens, and also, again, I've worked in almost every single capacity of child welfare or community economic development. Didn't even know it. Wasn't planned, but just ended up being that way.
Also not a coincidence. I feel like sometimes no accidents.
No,
go ahead.
No accidents whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I thought about what it was like when I was a foster care kid. I thought about what struggles I had when I was a supervisor managing a program, helping young people and connecting them to services. And I understood how overwhelmed I felt. I thought about my time as a social worker. I thought about my time working in government, being the person that helped make sure that we gave money and resources to the organizations so that they could do great work, and making sure that we were getting real data that was quality so we can make data-informed decisions, and then finding out some of the data they're not giving me is not accurate, and this is frustrating. I thought about my experience working in policy and government. I thought about all of that. And then I thought even about my experience working in the courts and helping advocate for young people, and just seeing it from every angle. And I kept seeing that this is a broken system. Everyone knows child welfare is broken. Everyone knows social service systems are broken. Right now, our whole society really is broken. But that's a conversation for another day.
Longer show, Camille. Longer show.
Another episode.
Yeah.
I kept seeing it from multiple lenses, from someone who needed help while I was in the system, but then also someone who worked in the system and wanted to help, but also was facing bureaucracy, potential backlash, retaliation, and threats for not going with the system, when I knew internally, hey, this is not ethical, let alone legal or right. I can't look the other way. Now, at the time, I didn't let people know that I was a former foster youth. I was like, that's none of your business. But I just cared. They're like, oh, she's so good at what she does. Yes, because I love my people and I love helping people. But it's also, I lived through it. Got to the point of, I had this idea for years, but I didn't have the courage to do it. I didn't feel I was enough because I wasn't a traditional tech founder. I didn't have my degree in like computer science. I wasn't like a hard coder. Right. So I kept playing with the idea, put it down. And it seemed very intimidating because oftentimes people in this space aren't really that friendly.
Well, I read your bio and I was like, I'm intimidated. There's a lot. Had I not met you in person, I was like, all these awards and it's all this, like, there's so much that goes into it.
It's amazing, but I still sometimes work through imposter syndrome and feeling not enough, and then I have to look at my own vision board and be like, girl, look at what we've accomplished, trust God, and I have to have other people in my ear to be like, girl, no, remember the reality. Your feelings are always valid. They're not always reality or factual. So
that's real.
The fact that I'm feeling a way of like fearful or not enough or feeling like I need to do more, that's a valid feeling that I need to address, to love on, and to explore. But it doesn't mean that that's the truth or the reality. And so ultimately, nonetheless, as I moved through and I looked at, okay, I've worked here, I worked there, I worked here, I worked here. I'm just like, how do I build this out? And when I am afraid, my nerdy research data side of me kicks in.
I'm here for it.
I'm going to overreach. Like, I'm really going to be like, research this, and that. I'm going to do customer discovery and this, and that. Now, mind you, too, my degree within sociology was heavy on quantitative and qualitative analysis. So that was kind of a little good thing I had in my back pocket. But I just asked a lot of other people, what is your problem? I asked everybody. I didn't just ask the people who were working in the system, but you have to approach things from everybody. So I talked to other current and former foster youth. I talked to social workers. I talked to bio parents, foster parents, talked to the social workers, supervisors, everyone in between. And I also prayed and I asked God, how do I make a solution? Because I'm tired of working in this space and I see good people that care either leave or get blackballed. And I also see people who should not be in this space, but they're here because they know how to talk a good talk or write something or even fudge stuff. And I'm tired of seeing our kids leave foster care and then end up in human trafficking. Like 60% of our nation's homeless population 50% of our nation's homeless population are former foster youth, and 60% of the young people that the FBI rescued from human trafficking were former foster youth. And so there is a foster care to prison pipeline, a foster care to homelessness pipeline, a foster care to human trafficking pipeline, a foster care to poverty. And so I'm just like, I cannot stay in this system and not call it out. But at the same time, if I call this one person or this person out, they're just going to be replaced with someone else. It's like the mafia. It's like
It's
another
the
person.
system. The
It's
problem is
system.
the system is bad. Yeah.
And so I'm like, how do we change things on a systems level? Because you don't want the people who are good, people who are overwhelmed sometimes trying to do the best they can to get, burnt out or caught up. But then you want to find a way to make sure everyone has what they need. And after really praying and doing customer discovery, the idea of Konnected with Care was born. And like I said, I started it, stopped it. And it wasn't until I was in law school and miserable, but number 2 in my class. I was like, I've worked for this all my life. But here it is, I'm trying to tinker with this. Even created a whole initiative within Wayne County Court to do, they're going to find out about this now. I did it because I wanted to do research about Konnected with Care and also make change.
That's right.
We created the first ever Youth Engagement and Systems Improvement Committee within Wayne County Court. They're like, it's the largest, one of the largest county family courts in the nation, the largest one in Michigan. And so again, bringing that comprehensive model together. And so when I was facing certain challenges in law school, and then I was still tinkering with Konnected, and I saw what was going on in COVID, and a lot of kids were leaving the system and being put into shelters, which is normal, although it should not be normal. And they were getting COVID at higher rates and they were dying. It was just so much going on. I was like, I did not make it through this to just make it through it and be successful on my own. Like, I have to do this. Like, show me the way. And so something at MSU Law that happened that shouldn't have happened, and we'll put it that way, put me in a position where I was just like, you know what? I'm facing discrimination and retaliation. I'm number 2 in my class. I'm doing the best I can. I'm giving grace, but now I get injured accidentally because I spoke up about the lack of representation, all the promises that they made that they never provided. And so it got to the point where it's just like, you can continue to pursue this path, or you can step into a path of peace. And so I took, I guess, a courageous, big energy step and decided, let me work on Konnected with Care. And it wasn't easy. People didn't believe in me at first because she's Black, she's a woman, she's a non-technical founder. I don't think the system needs this. And then literally near the end of COVID, it was like, wait, we need technology. And then here's what's even crazier now. I shot my shot and I applied for a tech accelerator where less than 2% of companies in general globally get in. So when I was going to apply, I went through a tech incubator and the person was like, oh, you're not ready. They're not going to get you there. We'll get you there and then get you prepared. You shouldn't even apply yet. And I was like, you know what?
I'll apply anyway.
I'm going to apply anyway.
Thanks for the advice. I'm going to take it.
I was like, strategically, I'll just apply and then let them see how amazing I am and then get some feedback and then reapply if I need to. That'll be the game plan. But then I became like the runner-up. And I was like, oh my God, what? Are you kidding me? I was like, I was just wanted you guys to see, who I was. And then ultimately I didn't make it in that round. And I had stopped believing in myself. And they were like, oh, you're number 13th out of 12. If someone, drops, you're in. And so I had reapplied. I actually applied 3 times. It was the 3rd time that I applied. And my life was going through so much shambles. I went from success to, because of so many things that happened, personal life, family, health. It's something about when you're right at the point of birthing something amazing or creating something that your life starts shaking in a way that makes you want to doubt everything, that makes you think I need to push back. Unexpected health diagnosis, family acting crazy, a loved one gets sick or put in hospice, all of these different things. And these are things that were happening all at the same time.
Yeah.
To me, like,
they're not hypothetical things.
Not at all.
I feel you. Yeah. I feel
and
you
so
on
I
that.
was like, I don't know. And I started disbelieving in myself. And I heard this voice in my head that said, what happened every time that you got close and it slipped? You stopped believing in yourself. And I had to be like, well, God, how do I believe in myself when I'm going through all of this right now? I have so many things going on and so much opposition that I'm facing with my health, with housing, with everything, with school. Like, there's so much going on. My grandfather's dying. Like, I'm now in the hospital because I literally had a cyst that I knew I needed to check up on and I didn't. And I thought about it. I was like, you need to go back to the doctor and you follow up on this, like they said. And then it ruptured.
So how do you keep, and then I want to open it up to Q&A, but how do you keep believing in yourself against all odds?
Perfect question. And that's
going to be our final question.
So this is what I got. I was like, I don't believe in myself right in this moment. And I was like, God, how do I believe when I truly don't feel it? When everything I see is telling me otherwise? And then I heard in my spirit, believe, achieve, dominate. Relentlessly pursue, you already have the victory. And I was like, I still don't know how to do that.
You
But
just
all
like
right.
heard it. It
I
came
heard
to
it.
you.
I
I've
heard
so
it.
been there. I get you.
I've heard it. And
Yes.
then so I was trying to be obedient, but also be a little bit of a butt too. I start closing my eyes and envisioning myself succeeding. I start
Envisioning yourself succeeding.
in this playing like the emotions of like celebrating like I got it. And you know what happened?
Yeah.
And I even told myself right when I felt that I was about to fail again, I was like, you know what? No, you're going to get in. Instead of getting one offer from Techstars, you're going to get 2 offers.
Yes.
And this is what's going to happen. And you know what happened, y'all? I got offers from Techstars
you
in
did.
Detroit and DC. And then now where we are is we're building more momentum. We have agencies that have literally been reaching out to us. I have a big proposal due tomorrow. And so they're due tomorrow too for what's happening. And then here's what just recently happened. November the 13th, the federal government just literally made an executive order basically mandating that every state and agency has 180 days to basically build what we're building and to connect with young people the way that we do.
It's so good.
So
It's so good.
and literally, so I'm like, let's run now because I've
You're
been
going to be
having
busy.
local and even some federal partners have reached out to us. And so I was like, oh my gosh, we need more support. Let's go. And they're about to fundraise and kick
yes.
this off. So all of that to say is when you don't believe in yourself, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's normal.
Yep.
But sometimes you have to envision what you want. Sometimes
Yeah.
don't speak the negative. Like there was even one point that I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And I was just like, and I was feeling the symptoms and all of it was showing. And I was like, gosh, surely this can't happen. Not right now. And I know this sounds crazy, but I was like, I am not going to speak and claim what the doctor is saying. And she was mad at me because I would not say I have this. You say I have that.
Yeah.
We see all of this, the blood work, all of that. All of it's matching up. All of it. And so I tried to look at the positive of it, and I told God in my head, like, yo, I'm kind of mad, like, real talk. But I'll still praise you. I'm going to trust you in this. And then I asked them, can you run the test again? And they're like, you know what? We only see 1 allele, not 2. You just have the trait. I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. And so it showed one thing. But I believe faith and believing and consistently moving forward. Even, I believe belief is not the fact that you have no fear. Belief is I am trusting and taking a leap of faith to believe even in my doubts with the fears. I think that is big energy. I think that is belief. I think that is faith. And that is what continues to carry me. And that is something that I hope that your listeners get from this. It's like, it doesn't matter what you face. It doesn't matter what obstacle comes your way. That truly is your unique opportunity to make a difference. And it is your actual call. And so there are still moments, like I was getting nerves and jitters earlier today about this, guys. I really was. I'm just like,
yes, little awesome group. It's real though. It happens. And I'm actually glad you say that because I think people think that it just comes easy because you come across so confident. And I think it's important for people to know that, no, this stuff's hard, right? Okay, so we're going to open up for Q&A for all the good stuff. Where can everyone find, I'm going to put it on the show notes too, but where can everyone find out about Konnected with Care? How can we help? What can we do? Where are you at? Give us all the handles.
Yeah, so you can find us at getkonnected.us, and that's connect with a K. For our website, you can connect with us on our social medias, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook at Konnected with Care. And you can also just hit me up to directly Kamille Tynes. And so that's the way that they can get in contact with me, yes.
Thank you so much.
And then email as well, info@connectedwithcare.us or Kamille@connectedwithcare as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Just open it up to questions, but thank you so much. All right. Who's got some questions out here for Kamille?
I have a question.
All right.
And this is a big. So when I see the synergy between you two with big energy, that with care, how much, and I know it's probably a redundant question, but how much would you say that the testament of the power of the human spirit goes into time with big energy? Because I'm seeing that there's a correlation. And I think that the reason why I asked that question is because those of us who went through a lot of things in life seem to produce more in life. So for both of you, what's your thoughts on that?
So the question was around the synergies, even though we really have only met one time virtually, the synergies with the work that we both do, which is really rooted in very different hard life experiences and how we've gone on to serve the communities that are important to us, which is an awesome question. I think for me, I think a lot of people think it happens overnight. So for my story, I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. I had a major mental health meltdown at Google, and I'm a coach, right? So I see this all day, every day. So not a therapist, but I'm a coach. And so for me, I think the first time I got cancer, I didn't say anything. I didn't reach out my community. I kept very insular. I was very solo and felt real sorry for myself. I had a lot of shame, and I didn't like that person. And I didn't tell anyone I worked with. I just went through my treatment every morning, got promotions, all the things. And so for me, the second time around, and I'm very faith-based too, God was like, look, I gave you the whisper. Clearly it did not work. So we're going to do this again. And so I actually got cancer the second time when I was finishing this book and doing this national book tour. All that to say, the second time around, I was like, y'all, I remember calling my friend being like, we're building a tribe this time. We're building a community. Because here's the thing. We don't all go through the same hardships, but we all are going through something. Like no matter who you are, there's not a single person that's have a lived experience, an authentic lived experience on this planet that hasn't gone through something that's really freaking hard. But if we all keep our stories so secret, nobody knows we're going through these things. And so I've had people reach out, because you told your story, I have crippling anxiety. I wasn't even leaving the house, and now I'm going to leave the house. Or I have MS, and I'm not sure how to tell my family what to do about it. Can you jump on a call with me? So I think doing work that's rooted in purpose, because we're uniquely at the intersection where all of these things have come together, that it's sort of like you can't ignore that you're the one to do it anymore. And it's like when you said I was a foster child, and I was also political, and I did the courts and the law school. So you had all of these facets that were completely preparing you for exactly who you are.
Yes.
And that's how I feel about the work I'm doing too. I had to be a hot mess in so many different places to be uniquely able to serve my community. So that's kind of my view, but I would love your thoughts as well.
No, that is completely so serendipitous in alignment with my perspective on it as well. I think life will bring you so many different obstacles and opposition. And this may sound hard a little bit, but it's up to you what you do with it. And earlier I said there are certain things that happen to us that weren't good and should not have happened. But you can make good come from it. And I'm a very faith-based woman, but I actually was not at first. I was a little bit on the other side. Instead of being where I am now, I kind of was a little bit of a Saul, intellectually speaking. I wasn't in the faith because I saw too much, and I'm very analytical, and I'm like, I don't believe this. But I had my own moment, and I questioned God. I was like, if you're really real and you care, why did you let this happen? You know, you got to reveal yourself. God didn't be like, I'm God, here I am.
Sometimes you wish you would, though.
Right?
If we're being so real.
100%. 100%. But I think the different things that have come my way, like Stacey is saying, it prepares you for something, and it gives you another piece in your toolkit. And one additional thing I would say is like the energy can either be positive or negative that it pulls you from. And even if you dip into the negative, you still can turn it into something positive. And so when I've been talking to different investors or different groups now, like it literally didn't click to me until last year that someone was like, oh my God, you were literally made exactly for this time. They're like, there's a big company that's way bigger than me that everyone knows about. They're like, they're multi-billion dollar company. And they're like, we're trying to do this. We have the capital. We have the scale. We even have some of the other industry experts. But you have an insight, a depth, and relationship that we don't have, that we need. You've literally worked and lived through every part. Like, we need you. And they're like, you need us. Yeah. But I was like, let me make sure my IP is right. But nonetheless, that's what I think. And so now when I look at creating solutions and programs, whether it's through tech, whether it's through in the courts, whether it's through in social work, I come at it as a lens of someone that's been in social work. I come at it as the lens of someone that has been homeless. I come at it as the lens of someone who needs resources, right? And so now I can understand intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, fully. And so I think for each and every person, what you have going on in your life, it literally, you've been given a blueprint, a DNA to create something that no one else can. And like, you won't even believe that there are times that I don't want to share my story, because at times how other people have taken advantage of me sharing my truth, right? And I didn't have the full strength or capacity to learn how to put those boundaries in place. And even right now, like, I was literally in a Lyft on my way here. Wasn't going to share, but I heard in my spirit, like, tell your Lyft driver what you're doing. Tell him what you do. And so I did. And then nonetheless, the Lyft driver, he was like, oh my gosh, he was like, I literally do this so that I can help people that are homeless have clothes. And this is all of that. And then the craziest thing happened. I also heard pray for him. And I was like, oh, man, God, I can't. Come
Now I'm the weirdo in the back of the lift. Like, it's the Jesus. It's the Jesus. I know. I've been that guy. I've so been the guy. I get that.
And so I was like, is it okay? He said, yeah. And you would think this nice macho 6 foot plus guy in this pickup truck, tattoos all on, nice red hair, beard, older than me. And he was like, yeah. And so I began to pray. And he was even blessing me in the prayer too, praying blessings back over. I was like, thank you, Lord. And then look up, and then he was full out bawling in tears. And he was like, thank you. You're an angel. He was like, basically everything that I went through, he's like, you don't even know. You don't even know how your story can help someone. And I didn't even feel comfortable really sharing my story. So I say, the negative energy, you can make it your superpower if you're willing to. There are so many different things that I've navigated through, like, praise God, like, I know who God is because of miracles that he had to do in my life, both health-wise and none of that. And so now I know that I know that I know. And because of that, it enables me to be like, not that just you can make it too, but that you have power in you that you don't recognize. Because I'm dope, but I'm not all that dope. I literally sometimes have had depression, real crippling anxiety, all these different things.
Yeah.
I literally flunked out of college at one point because anxiety got so bad because I was working multiple jobs, trying to fight for custody of my younger siblings, had my mom, younger sibling, and friends all living with me, and it became too much. And I literally basically broke down. And so now I went from that to where I am now. So whatever you're facing or whatever negativity that is going on, it can truly, you are the big energy. You are the voice that is not only equal, but greater than any opposition that comes to you. So you can use it as your DNA. And that's what I'm doing with my life and everything we're doing, the same thing that Stacey's doing too. And so that's your superpower.
Gosh, I think I have to end it there. It's just so good. Thank you again to our live studio audience. Thank you for our production with Ryan. Thank you, Alexa, for our host. And thank you, Kamille, for being all that you are and serving your community and serving us as a community and doing purposeful work that matters and for bringing your big energy. It was great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.